So for Prime Day, Amazon gave away Suicide Squad Kills Justice League for free to all Twitch users with Prime and Epic Game Launcher. This isn't an ad, just pointing things out on why we're at this point with this video. Now, if you've noticed, I've been pretty quiet about this game because I have a saying: if you didn't play it, you have no opinion on it. I do not make content about games I haven't played. I'll make content for trailers and things like that, but post launch of the game, until I play it myself, I'm not giving my opinion on it. And I think that's a wise thing to stand by when it comes to any form of media. If you haven't experienced it, you have no right to talk about it. It's not your place. You don't know anything about it other than what you see on YouTube or on Twitch. You have to get your own experience, such as a general life thing. So now I've finally played the game, I can talk about it. And frankly, I have a bit to say. For one, I went into this game with no expectations. I went into it without thinking about what I've heard about the game. I've never watched a review of the game or streams on the game, so I'm mostly blind outside of what I've seen in trailers and, maybe like one or two Luke Stevens videos. And I must say, this game is actually more frustrating than you will think. And the reason why it's frustrating is because there is something there with this game. By something there, I mean it's actually not a bad game. It's not a bad video game and has a lot of, redeeming qualities, but it's where the game fails that make it frustrating. It's, playing the game, experiencing the game, and then you see what this game could have been, the potential this game could have had the marketing team and the executives allow Rocksteady to make the game they know fans wanted to play. The fact that if this game wasn't a looter shooter, it would be way better. It would be a way better game. You play this game, you just feel like, damn, this would be so good if it was just a single player action game like Guardians of the Galaxy or the Arkham games, instead of a generic co-op looter shooter. The reason this is my feelings is because I actually enjoyed the game for the most part as a video game. And I keep mentioning the word as a video game because that's how I'm looking at it. Just what is a video game? Is the goal here to just have some quick fun and move on to the next game? Or are you looking for something that's more expanded? It just is what you view for a video game. It's me, a video game should just be fun. And it does have some fun to it that's, enough to not hate it. Not looking at this as anything more than something to enjoy while I wait for another game to release. The story is actually solid. It's not great. Understand that. It's not a great story. When I say solid, don't look at that as me going, oh, this is a 10 out of 10 story. It's better than any game story to ever come out ever. It's the greatest game of all time. So that's not what I'm saying when I say the word. It's a solid story. It's not great. It's not going to blow your socks off. But we have to live in reality. Currently in media, we want something to either be a 10 or it's trash. There is no nuance. There is no middle of the road. There is no in-betweens. You're either a 10 or you're a 1. You can't just be okay anymore. You can't be decent or average or slightly above average, etc. This game's story had me interested, and the dialogue was fitting for the game and its setting. There were moments I chuckled, moments I thought the writing could have been better. For example, I think Deadshot's character is too generic, angry black guy. His writing, his scenes and his voice acting just comes off like low budget straight to DVD hood films. King Shark is okay. Samoa Joe does a passable job. He understands the assignment when it comes to how the directors wanted Shark acted. Shark has a few very good moments, and I really like the part where he becomes a temporary lantern. It was a good scene.
Shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power. King Shark's lights.
I think Captain Boomerang is one of the best performing characters in the entire game. I generally hate that character in pretty much every media that he's in. I've always hated Captain Boomerang, but he's very good in this game in terms of the writing and the dialogue. Then lastly, there's Harley. Well, it's Harley. It's not, when I say that, it's not just that it's Harley Quinn, but it's also Tara Strong. She is Harley Quinn in the same way Kevin Conroy is Batman, in the same way that Mark Hamill is the Joker. In a ton of DC games or animation, she's the voice of either Harley or Batgirl. Hell, in some media, she's the voice of both. So Tara has experience with this character. She knows how Harley's supposed to be acted, what pitches to hit, what tones, etc. Harley is who I played as. In my playthrough, I only used her. Even when I played with a friend, I only played as Harley. Waller is Waller. I know this sounds silly to say Waller is Waller, but I feel like it's not hard to, to write Amanda Waller, but it is hard to act as Amanda Waller. The actor has to deliver a stubborn hard ass who has, a god complex as a human being. A character who isn't afraid of anyone, borderline psychotic at times, and a bit intimidating. Deborah Wilson does a phenomenal job as Waller, but it's Deborah Wilson. Again, this isn't a situation of the writing is very good. It's a situation of the actor who's playing the character is very good at their job. Now, I'm not going to talk about every single character in the game, just ones that caught my attention out of the main four. The game's version of Wonder Woman, I love it. I love this game's version of Wonder Woman. Easily the best Wonder Woman visually that anyone has created. When I say that, I mean just the visuals of the character, the skin tone, the structure, the outfit, just everything about the character from a visual standpoint. I'm not saying this is the best written version of Wonder Woman. It's just visually, I find this Wonder Woman way more visually appealing than any other Wonder Woman. Having her look Middle Eastern, something about it, it's just kiss. Something about it just fits the character. Zarha Fazal does a decent enough job as a voice actor for the character, telling that conveying Diana's emotions as she deals with her friends being villains who need to be put down. The outfit for Wonder Woman is also lovely. Diana is one of my favorite characters in DC, so that's why she's one of the standouts I want to talk about in this video. Because it's one of my favorite characters, and I'm going to point it out a lot more. And when you have a favorite character, that's what you're going to be drawn towards. You can be drawn towards what they can do, what they don't do, the nuances of that character. What seems like it fits, what seems like it doesn't fit. Her fight with Superman is very entertaining, and obviously the outcome for her character isn't really something that I enjoy. But what am I gonna do? I didn't make the game. The thing about this story is you can't take it serious. The reason being is, to some degree, the Justice League isn't the Justice League. Why do I say that? Because it came out that recently WB is already wanting to make a follow-up game to this game where we play as the Justice League, trying to gain the trust of the world back. So the question becomes, how do they return then? The common theory gamers have is the Justice League you kill are clones. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that the Justice League we face in the game are clones. I think they're the actual Justice League of this Earth and of the universe. Which makes a lot of things kind of burn more. That really is Wonder Woman who got bodied. That really is the Arkham universe Batman who got bodied. And that last bit is what drives a lot of the hatred for this game. The way WB will likely make a new game as a follow-up is Elseworld. Justice League members from another world will be who we play as. But let's not get into, and I can see what it would be is kind of like a Crisis on Infinite Earth situation, which is in the game. Infinite Crisis is like the first few episodes of the post game, and which will likely end with a merger of a few of the Earths, and that will probably lead to the new formation of the main Earth, Earth Prime, Justice League, and that's what WB's gonna do. They're gonna have those members from other worlds pretty much become the new Justice League of the main world, and try to earn the trust of the world back. But let's not get too much into that. We need to talk about the rest of the game. So let's talk about the gameplay. Let's talk about the gameplay a bit, as I don't want to say too much about the story to avoid spoiling the game, and this video being longer than it already is. We're already at 9 minutes. Let's not make this video being like an hour or anything like that. The gameplay is where things go bad with this game. I said a long time ago, I don't remember which video that was, but I said a long time ago, it could have been a trailer reaction video. But I said that Gotham Knights game was just a beta for this game, which to a degree I still believe. But Gotham Knights gameplay is actually better in my opinion. See, with Gotham Knights, it still maintains being a beat 'em up, not an FPS game. Yes, Jason uses pistols, but there are combos with melee chained with those use of pistols. Gotham Knight's combat, flaw is it's a looter shooter, health bar enemy types. No one wants to it has that Arkham DNA, but it also has, you know, that thing that Destiny and the Division has, where enemies have health bars and it kind of breaks the immersion of the game. But the combat itself is closer to what people wanted from Arkham games than Suicide Squad has. Then there's traversal. Traveling the map is so much better in Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad. It doesn't mean it's awful in Suicide Squad and Justice League, but it's not great. The gameplay flow is smooth, but it gets boring quickly. The flow of combat is fast, and in certain situations is very enjoyable. But the fact that you basically spend your entire time doing the exact same missions over and over again by design, that smooth, fast, and sometimes enjoyable gameplay loses all its luster. Especially when it's a looter shooter. In order for a looter shooter to keep its players, its developers excel at having a form of gameplay loop that is so good you don't mind the tedious short work you're doing as missions. We look at Destiny. Destiny's gameplay is phenomenal. The gunplay, the supers, the movement in combination with the combat. It keeps Destiny players enjoying the game, regardless of the fact that the gameplay that they're doing is the same missions over and over again, to an extent. The First Ascendant is a mess of a game, but it has a big following right now because the gameplay loop is fun enough for the gamers to ignore the horrible and tedious game design and mission layouts. Suicide Squad against the Justice League doesn't have the same gameplay loop. Its combat, gunplay, movement isn't good enough for you, the player, to ignore that 90% of the game's missions are you doing the exact same thing over and over. And the game itself is so shameless with it that as you progress through the game, they just reskin the same mission to fit the new NPC's theme. You know, you'll go from, you know, Flag's police bus thing when it comes to like rescuing civilians to it being Toyman's, you know, truck of you doing the exact same thing. It's just a reskin of literally the exact same mission line that you were doing at the beginning of the game. What about the bosses? Well, each member you face is different from the other with the way you approach the fight, but similar in the way that you have to lower their shields. Flash, you have to shoot him with a counter shot. Lantern, you have to destroy constructs. Batman, you have to shoot him with a counter shot. Superman, you have to shoot him with a counter shot. I guess they are way more similar than I made it seem, right? Remember what I said about the tedious game design? These fights aren't awful in and of themselves, but Lantern and Flash will not stick with you. Batman, on the other hand, has great interactions. The initial meeting with him is fitting for the Cape Crusader, as you and the other members of the squad are being hunted by the Bat. This expands when you encounter him again under the effects of Fear Toxin, leading into a boss fight that, you know, could have been better, but the general design of the fight isn't bad at all and unique in comparison to the other boss encounters you have with the game. As for Supes, his fight is basically the Flash fight and Lantern fight turned it up to 11. In comparison to the other fights, it's more difficult. I played the game on the hardest setting, and the game is fairly easy even on hard setting, but because of Superman, the game had to make him very powerful. If you aren't careful, you get, you know, wrecked in this fight pretty easily. As Supes is very fast, you have to hit him with counter shots. Sometimes he spins, you know, still making it easier for you to land them. Sometimes you have to land him while he's in the motion. Sometimes you need to land those counter shots while he's using AoE abilities that can do heavy damage. Superman fight is difficult to design since you as a developer have to find a way for it to be reasonably difficult and also reasonably easy. It can't be too simple or too easy, or the player won't be satisfied because it shouldn't be easy to beat Superman. But at the same time, you also can't be too difficult where the player feels like they can't beat him at all. In my opinion, the balance of this fight is very, very fair. And then there's the Brainiac encounters. Fights that are basically reskins of fights against Justice League members, but reskinned as Brainiac. This is awful. Nothing needs to be said other than the fact that it's awful. Overall, Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League is a 6 out of 10 story with 8 out of 10 voice acting and 5 out of 10 gameplay. Do with that what you will. Combine those numbers and find the average. 6 out of 10 story, 8 out of 10 voice acting, and a 5 out of 10 gameplay. Guess you can probably say that's like maybe like just a 6.5 out of 10 total, or maybe just a 5.5 out of 10 total. You know, go whatever you want. Numbers arbitrary. There are things about this game to enjoy, and again, that's why it's a frustrating game, because Rocksteady could have made a better game. You know, if they didn't make a looter shooter, they could have made a better game, and that's what's frustrating. You play this game, you're just like, damn man, this could have been so good if they just made a single player game. When I play with friends, though, they enjoyed the game for what it was as well. You know, it's not just me who enjoyed the game for what it was. I had one friend who laughed at every obvious Marvel level comedy cutscene. I didn't laugh at them. I thought they were kind of cheesy, but, you know, it's okay that someone else, you know, thought it was hilarious. I mentioned this because clearly there are people who like this style of comedy, people who enjoy this game. And as I always say, not every game has to be for everyone. We can't speak about games as if nobody likes them, as if nobody wants them. I might dislike the gameplay loop, but someone else might enjoy the gameplay loop. The game's numbers aren't great and we are aware of it, but it doesn't mean there isn't a number of people who thoroughly like the game. I personally find it a missed opportunity. It has redeeming qualities. It has things about it that's fun, but it's not the game the overall masses wanted. You know, a different combat structure, different mission design could have led to this game being way more positively received. And in the end, we're left with fear of what the Wonder Woman game will be. We haven't heard good things about that, by the way. Expectations will be very, very low for that game. I hope WB gets out of this mindset of making live service games for a quick buck. Make a good video game and you'll make money. The history of games under your name is good because of them being good video games. Shadow of Mordor is goated. Then you ruined it with Shadow of War. The Arkham games are goated. Then you ruined it with both Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad Justice League. Just make good video games. Games your community wants. If you want to make a looter shooter, make one from a brand new IP, not one under an established banner. Anyways, with all that said, that is it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Y'all stay safe. Remember to be kind to one another. I've been your boy, Anubis Gamer Archer, aka the unexpected talent of YouTube himself, the Archangel. Deuces.